Globally, up to 15% of standing crops or stored harvest is damaged by rodents. In sub-Saharan Africa, this figure goes up to 24%. In some regions of Ethiopia, rats and mice damage up to 46% of all the food grown. Across the whole country, these losses amount to more than $2 billion. Every year, an individual farmer loses anything between $105 and $230 per hectare, which is almost a fifth of their annual income. Besides, rodents cause injuries and carry around 60 kinds of vector diseases, such as the Hanta virus. The rodent problem in Ethiopia has grown rapidly over the last 30 years. Over that period, sustained watershed rehabilitation campaigns have helped restore landscapes and boost food production. So there have been more crops in the fields and more grain stored at homes and in silos, which is definitely a good thing. But this has also meant that there is more food to go around for rats and mice, who have thrived and multiplied. Available solutions include chemical rodenticides or improvised traps used at the household level. They have only had a limited impact. The biggest disadvantage of chemical rodenticides is their harmful effects on the environment, especially on non-target species such as pets and livestock. On the other hand, rodents themselves develop immunity to them over time. Besides, chemical rodenticides are invariably not manufactured locally and are therefore quite expensive. Also, their chemical composition is not optimized for local needs, and usage instructions are not in local languages, so they are not user-friendly. Improvised household-level solutions such as traps can be very creative and very effective, but individually they do not match up to the large scale of the problem. Here's an alternative: ecologically-based rodent management. EBRM is a combination of individual measures at the household level, collective measures in the fields, and some special measures. At the household level, it is important to maintain cleanliness. Leftover or garbage should not be left open, as they attract rats and serve as shelters for them. Rodents should be prevented from entering the homestead by plugging cracks in walls and fences. Additionally, barriers could be set up around the house, such as thorny plants. In rural Ethiopia, much like rural areas elsewhere, harvest is stored at home. Making storage inaccessible and impenetrable to rodents cuts off their food supply and reduces damage to the harvest. This can be done using a number of measures, such as storage bags with additional lining, using storage units with impenetrable material, such as corrugated iron sheets, and setting them up at a height away from trees. Traps help. A wide range of traps can be bought from local markets or fashioned at home. Cats eat mice. The smell of dogs keeps mice away, so having pets keeps mice from entering homes. Rodents often make home in agricultural fields and grazing land. Farmers and pastoralists can work together to make such areas difficult for them to live in. If all fields in an area are planted and harvested together, rodents will have longer lean periods when they have to go without food. Otherwise, when one field is harvested, they can move to another one where crops are still standing. When crops are planted in rows, with either gaps or rows of other crops in between, rodents find it much more difficult to move around, as they cannot stay hidden. Rodents thrive on lands that are closed for grazing, since in such areas they have no competition from livestock over the vegetation. So controlled grazing helps keep the rodent population under check. The best time to have livestock graze in such areas is when the grass is short, which is either just before the rainy season or just after it has been cut. When livestock trample upon such land, they destroy rodent holes. Soil and water conservation structures often serve as shelters for rodents. By making them compact and tight, space available for rodents is minimized. It also helps to keep the length of the stone bunts to no longer than 30 meters. Rodents use stone bunt surfaces as highways that they can scurry across. By placing thorny bushes on the bunts or by growing vetiver grasses on them, this can be stopped. Rodents hate open spaces since they are most vulnerable to predators there. To maximize open spaces, successive stone bunds should be built at least 10 to 15 meters apart, and empty strips of land should be kept between the bunds and the crops. A crucial component of EBRM is proactively destroying rat habitats in agricultural fields or grazing land. This involves smoking or flooding rodent holes. It is important that this is done as part of a community-wide campaign over an entire watershed, rather than by individual farmers around their fields. This way, rodents do not get to run away from one part of the watershed to take shelter in another part. Also to be taken collectively are measures such as setting up large traps for snaring large numbers of rodents at a time, and attracting and conserving animal species that are natural predators of rodents in agricultural landscapes. For example, setting up natural or artificial perches can attract raptor birds and enable them to hunt down rodents. While chemical rodenticides have several disadvantages, rodenticides themselves are not a bad idea if they are made of naturally occurring ingredients that do not harm the environment or non-target species. With support from the Dutch enterprise agency RVO, Meta, the Amhara Bureau of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mekelle University and Debre Tabor University have developed what could prove to be a groundbreaking solution, a prototype rodenticide with botanicals as active ingredients. The prototype has been tested extensively in Amhara. The tests have established that it is lethal to rodents without being harmful to non-target species such as livestock, poultry, and pets. The ingredients are all locally available, and the production process is economical and simple enough to be undertaken by small and medium enterprises run by local women. The cost of production is low enough to offer the rodenticide to farmers at a price they are willing to pay and still make a profit. These figures are based on market research carried out in the area during 2019. In 2020, the prototype will be produced as a commercial product by 20 women-led enterprises in 100 watersheds in Amhara. EBRM is an approach. It is not about one effective rodenticide or one deadly rodent trap or one impenetrable storage solution. EBRM hinges on three key principles: adopting a range of measures addressing various aspects and levels of rodent infestation, working together as a community, because if rodent control measures are taken only by a few, only in parts of a watershed or a landscape, rodents can escape to another part. Timing. Permanent dent in rodent population can only be made if communal rodent control campaigns are carried out at the right time. The right time is during the dry season. This is just before the rodents have started breeding, so their population is lowest.